In a quiet corner of the Baltic Sea, a German resort island is about to undergo transformation due to one of the world's largest infrastructure projects. Denmark and Germany are building the world's longest immersed tunnel under the Fehmarn Belt strait. The project developers have already received approval for its implementation. The 18-kilometer tunnel will connect the Lolland-Falster region in Denmark with Schleswig-Holstein in Germany across the Baltic Sea. Thanks to the tunnel, the journey between the countries will be reduced to just 10 minutes by car or 7 minutes by train. Construction work began in July 2021, and the completion date is scheduled for 2029. The total cost of the project is expected to be 8.7 billion euros, and the European Union will allocate 590 million euros for the construction, which makes this project one of the largest and most expensive in Europe in recent years. The tunnel will be 18 kilometers long, featuring 2 railroad tracks and a 4-lane highway. But why was such an ambitious and complex tunnel needed? And what challenges did Germany and Denmark face in the early stages of construction? Today, we will tell you about one of the most ambitious mega projects in Europe in recent years. Enjoy watching. The Immersed Tunnel project is the result of creative thinking. It will be more than 5 times longer than the tunnel under the Øresund Strait connecting Denmark and Sweden, and more than 3 times longer than the Trans-Bay Tube Tunnel under the San Francisco Bay in California, which is currently the longest in the world. The immense scale of the project challenges existing tunnel construction standards, thanks to its innovative longitudinal ventilation system and advanced safety features. Let's start with the background of the project. The Trans-European Transport Network consists of a network of roads, railways, and waterways that connect all corners of Europe. One of its most significant routes is the Scandinavian-Mediterranean corridor. This central vertical axis of the network spans 5,000 kilometers from Malta in the Mediterranean Sea to the icy tundra of Finland. However, there's one obstacle in the way of the Scandinavian-Mediterranean corridor route. The road network is literally hindered by an island. The issues begin in northern Germany, where drivers, instead of driving directly towards Sweden, take a 150-kilometer detour through all of Denmark. The culprit is the so-called Fehmarn Belt, a 20-kilometer stretch of water between the mainland of Germany and the southern coast of Denmark. It is named after the small German island of the same name. Previously, the issue was resolved through ferry crossings. The idea of creating a railway between Hamburg and Copenhagen was discussed as early as the 19th century, but nothing happened until the 1960s when a bridge was constructed to cross the short stretch of water between Fehmarn and mainland Germany. This route was then extended to the ferry port in the island town of Puttgarden, which brought trains right to the water's edge. They would then be loaded onto ferries and transported across the strait to Denmark. As you can understand, the entire process was incredibly protracted, which severely hindered the region's logistics and consequently had a direct impact on the economy. This method was also highly complex in technical execution, leading the government to eventually decide to abandon the bridge. It wasn't until 2008 that the governments of Denmark and Germany signed an agreement to begin work on establishing a fixed link across the Fehmarn Belt. Danish engineers proposed the most obvious solution: a 3-kilometer cable-stayed bridge located at a height of 65 meters above the water to allow ships to pass under it. The challenge lies in the fact that the surface of the Fehmarn Belt is unsuitable for construction. Its width is just under 20 kilometers. It's quite deep in places, and the soil is too loose and unstable. After careful consideration of risks, cost overruns, and technical complexity, the option of a bridge was ruled out. The new solution became a tunnel. The suitable form of the tunnel is a tube. Due to the soil complexity, engineers won't be drilling the ground. Instead, they chose a different type of tunnel, an immersed tube. It's composed of precast concrete elements. After their production, they are transported to a trench excavated on the seabed, immersed, and sealed. Once laid, everything is backfilled with soil. The tunnel will be constructed in a huge factory. Construction begins on a huge site on the Danish side of the Fehmarn Belt, which is operated by a specially created Danish state-owned company, Fehmarn AS. The tunnel segments will be manufactured at one of Denmark's largest factories in history. Its total area is about 500,000 square meters. Such scale is necessary for the production lines that will manufacture 89 tunnel concrete elements, each measuring 220 meters in length, 12 meters in height, and 40 meters in width. The factory will operate non-stop for 3.5 years. The tunnel is planned to be completed by 2029, as mentioned earlier. The project budget amounts to $7.5 billion. It will consist of a 4-lane highway and 2 railway lines serving both freight and high-speed passenger trains. All of this will be financed by Denmark, which will collect tolls and manage the surface facilities. Thanks to the reduction in distance between Hamburg and Copenhagen, drivers traveling along the Trans-European Transport Network will cover 150 kilometers less. Additionally, a part of freight from trucks will be transferred by cargo trains. It is expected that the toll for cars will be approximately the same as for the ferry, about $100 for a round trip. This is projected to contribute about $4 billion to the Danish economy during the first 50 years of the tunnel's operation. The project itself had been planned for over a decade, and construction of the Fehmarn Belt tunnel began only in 2020. This followed several months after the completion of a temporary harbor on the Danish side, where the factory will be located to produce the 89 massive concrete sections that will compose the tunnel. The tunnel itself will be cast in parts on land and then assembled underwater, securing the concrete elements together. The hollow concrete structure will lie on the seabed at a depth of 16 meters. The expectation is that the first production line will be ready around the end of the year or beginning of next year, said Henrik Vincentsen, CEO of Fehmarn AS, the state-owned Danish company in charge of the project. By the beginning of 2024, we have to be ready to immerse the first tunnel element. The ventilation system has a significant impact on the tunnel's design, and many road and railway tunnels require intermediate ventilation shafts. For underwater tunnels, such solutions with intermediate shafts are too expensive and come with risks to navigation and the environment. As for the Fehmarn Belt tunnel, the ventilation is designed as a longitudinal system, which will reduce the tunnel's cross-sectional area and eliminate the need for intermediate ventilation shafts. Complex ventilation system modeling was conducted, taking into account the increasing use of automobiles while simultaneously reducing emissions as automotive technologies improve. This modeling showed that thanks to the ventilation system, air pollution levels within the tunnel will remain below recognized international thresholds throughout the tunnel's operational lifespan. As is often the case with mega projects of this level, they rarely escape without a large crowd of critics. Among the primary opponents of the tunnel is the German Nature and Biodiversity Conservation Union. In our opinion, the construction of a tunnel under the Fehmarn Belt Strait violates national and European nature conservation legislation. Among other things, believes Malte Siegert, a representative of the Nature and Biodiversity Conservation Union Hamburg Division. In early March, the organization provided its transportation expertise on the project, in which environmentalists came to the conclusion that there was no need to build such a tunnel. Environmentalists assert that the volume of freight railway transportation between northern Germany and Scandinavia has been declining in recent years, and there is no urgent need to increase the capacity of this transport corridor. The time-saving benefits of opening such a route are considered overly optimistic. Furthermore, Nature and Biodiversity Conservation Union is concerned that after the tunnel's opening, freight road transportation on this route will become more popular than railways, which are more environmentally friendly. There are also objections from the local population in Germany, who fear job losses in the current intensive ferry service, and environmentalists who believe that wildlife will suffer from this project. The Jedser-Rostock Bridge, approximately 50 kilometers long, was proposed as an alternative to the Fehmarn Belt Tunnel. Supporters of this project claimed it would serve as a connecting link from Scandinavia to Berlin. However, despite all the criticism of the mega project, the final decision has already been made. It took many years to initiate the implementation of such a grand project. On November 30, 2010, it was announced that the tunnel project was more preferable than the bridge project due to lower risks in constructing such an extensive structure. In January 2011, the idea of tunnel construction received overwhelming support from the majority of Danish parliament members. As a result, by 2012, the completion date was pushed to 2021. In 2014, it was further extended to 2024, and then in 2015, it was postponed again to 2028. In February 2015, a bill for tunnel construction was presented in the Danish parliament, and the Danish government applied for 13 billion Danish kroner, 1.7 billion euros, in grants from the European Union, with support from Germany and Sweden. In June 2015, the European Commission provided Denmark with funding of 589 million euros under its Connecting Europe facility scheme, enabling the continuation of the tunnel construction project. In March 2017, the operating company announced the registration of subcontractors for project implementation. Finally, the implementation of this mega project began, and we sincerely hope that it will be realized despite all the criticism and challenges. Write in the comments, what do you think about this mega project of Denmark and Germany? If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Kara Show channel. See you next time.